The moment that wakes you up, there comes a moment in every person's life when something hits you so hard inside that you can't ignore it anymore. It may not be loud. It may not be dramatic, but it shakes you. Let me tell you something. Life has a way of sending you signals long before it sends you storms. Maybe it's when someone talks to you in a way you know you don't deserve. Maybe it's when you realize you're always the one bending, fixing, giving, while others just take. For some people, that moment comes during a simple argument. For others, it comes when they look in the mirror and see a tired face staring back. Think about the day Oprah was told she was not fit for TV. That moment didn't break her. It woke her up. Your moment might look different, but it hits the same. It's the second you say, I can't live like this anymore. That is the moment everything begins to change. The slaps you feel but never see. Not every slap is a hand across your face. Some are made of words. Some are made of silence. Some are made of people taking from you without ever giving anything back. These slaps are quiet, but they leave marks that stay for years. Think about the friend who always needs you but disappears when you need them. Think about the family member who talks over you, walks over you, and acts like you owe them your peace. Think about the days you said yes, even though your whole body wanted to scream no. Those moments are slaps too. They don't bruise your skin, but they bruise your spirit. And here's the truth. Most people don't notice the first one, or the second, or the third. You brush it off. You tell yourself it's fine. But if you don't face it, those small slaps turn into a pattern. And if you don't control, it will control you. The day you stop pretending it doesn't hurt is the day you begin to rise. Why you keep handing over your keys you. Don't hand people control over your life in one big moment. It happens slowly in tiny choices you don't even think about. You hand over your keys when you stay quiet to avoid a fight. You hand over your keys when you let someone talk you out of your dreams because they don't see what you see. You hand over your keys when you try so hard to keep others happy that you forget what peace feels like. Think about someone working a job they hate because they were scared to disappoint their family. Think about the person who stayed in a bad relationship because they feared being alone. These are everyday examples of handing over your keys. And let me tell you something. People can only walk through the doors you open for them. If you leave your door wide open, don't be surprised when someone steps in and starts moving your furniture around. This is not about blame. This is about honesty. If you don't protect your peace, someone else will use it. This is your wake-up call to take your power back. There comes a day when you stop letting people walk through your life like they own the place. That day is now. This is your wake-up call to take back what you gave away without even noticing. Your voice, your peace, your time, your keys. You don't have to wait for someone to hurt you again to decide you've had enough. You don't need another bad day to admit something has to change. Look at people like J.K. Rowling, who rebuilt her life from the lowest point because she decided she would not let the world tell her who she was. Look at the everyday parent who stands up and says, my kids will not grow up watching me be treated like this. You can be that person too, and hear this clearly. You are not weak for letting things slide before. You were trying to help, trying to love, trying to keep peace, but now you know better. And when you know better, you must do better. This is the moment you close the door, hold your keys tight, and take your life back piece by piece. The slap you never saw scissors in Jesus. Shock that opens your eyes. There comes a moment when life hits you so suddenly that you stop breathing for a second. A moment when you think, how did it get this far? It might be someone talking to you like you don't matter. Someone walking all over your kindness, or someone acting like your feelings are an afterthought. It's the shock that shakes you awake. It's like walking into a room you thought was bright, only to realize the lights were off the whole time. You start replaying little moments, times you stayed quiet, times you let things slide, times you told yourself it wasn't worth the fight. But that shock, it flips a switch in your mind. And once that switch flips, you can't pretend anymore. You see everything. You see people clearly. You see yourself clearly. And you finally understand that the hit you didn't see coming was the one you needed to wake up. The small disrespect you've been ignoring, the big hurt never comes first. It's the tiny cuts, the comments brushed off as jokes, the times someone interrupted you and you forced to smile, the people who took advantage of your soft heart because they knew you wouldn't say anything. You kept telling yourself, it's not a big deal. But here's the truth: small disrespect grows. It spreads like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice at first, but one day you wake up drained, tired, and empty. Think about real life examples: the friend who only calls when they need something, the partner who dismisses your feelings, the coworker who talks over you in every meeting. You kept swallowing it because you didn't want drama. But every time you stayed quiet, you trained them to believe it was okay. And today, you finally see how those small moments built the pain you feel now. The moment you realize peace has been costing you yourself. There is a kind of peace that isn't peace at all. It's silence, it's shrinking, it's walking on eggshells. It's pretending things don't hurt when they do. And one day, you stop and think, why am I the only one working this hard to keep the calm? That's the moment everything inside you shifts, because you realize you've been paying for peace with pieces of yourself. Maybe you stopped speaking up because you didn't want to be too much. Maybe you lowered your needs because you didn't want to upset anyone. Maybe you became the fixer, the saver, the one who smooths everything over. But inside, you've been breaking. Healing starts when you admit it. When you say, I'm tired of losing myself so others can stay comfortable. That moment is powerful because it shows you the real cost of the peace you've been holding onto. The wake-up call hidden inside the pain has a way of speaking louder than anything else. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't hint. It pushes you to look at the truth you've been avoiding. There's a wake-up call hidden inside every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment someone treated you less than you deserved. Like life tapping you on the shoulder saying, look, this is what happens when you ignore your worth. Think about someone who stayed in a draining job until burnout forced them to walk away. Or someone who stayed in a one-sided relationship until one day they couldn't recognize themselves. Pain becomes the teacher you never wanted but needed. It forces you to choose yourself. It forces you to stop pretending. And when you finally listen, you feel something rise inside you, a strength you thought you lost. That's the wake-up call. That's the start of change. The moment you realize you've been giving away your ways you hand over your power you. Don't hand over your power in one big moment. It happens in quiet ways. When you say, it's fine, even when it isn't. When you let someone's mood control your day. When you hide your real feelings to avoid being judged. When you let others decide how you should think or live. Power doesn't leave with force. It slips away when you stop living for yourself. Think about how many times you've stepped aside to let someone else feel comfortable, even if it made you uneasy. Or how often you've changed your plans, your choices, or your dreams just to keep someone happy. These are the hidden moments. These are the quiet exchanges. And one day, you look around and wonder why you feel so empty. It's because you've been giving away pieces of yourself without even noticing. The pattern of pleasing, avoiding, and shrinking. Most people don't lose control of their life because they're weak. They lose it because they're busy trying to keep everyone else calm. You please to avoid conflict. You avoid to keep the peace. You shrink so others don't feel threatened or uncomfortable. It becomes a pattern. You start saying yes when you Want to say no? You stop expressing your true thoughts. You let others decide what's best for you. And little by little, you disappear into the background of your own life. This pattern shows up everywhere. The parent who sacrifices their dreams for the family, the worker who never asks for what they deserve, the partner who bends their life around someone who never bends back. The danger is that it feels normal. You get used to it. But today, you're seeing it for what it is, a slow fading of your own voice, the questions that force you to face the truth. There are questions that hit you so hard they stop you in your tracks. Why do I let people treat me this way? Why do I care more about their comfort than my own peace? Why am I afraid to say what I truly feel? Why do I keep choosing people who don't choose me back? Each question is a mirror, a bright, honest mirror. And when you look into it, you see the real problem. You've been trying to be liked more than you've been trying to be respected. You've been trying to be needed more than you've been trying to be valued. These questions are tough. They sting, but they open the door to freedom. Because once you face the truth, you can no longer live blind. You start to understand where you've been giving too much and asking too little. And that awareness changes everything. The first step in taking your keys back. Taking your keys back doesn't start with a dramatic moment. It starts with a decision. A simple, quiet decision where you say, I'm not living like this anymore. That's the first step. You stop running after people who don't meet you halfway. You stop accepting half love, half effort, and half respect. You start speaking up, even if your voice shakes. You start protecting your time, your energy, your heart. Think about someone who finally walked away from a draining friendship, or someone who finally asked for the raise they avoided for years. Change begins in those small acts of courage. Every boundary you set is a key returned. Every time you stand up for yourself, another key comes back into your hand. The power was always yours. You just forgot you were holding the door. Respect isn't given. It's tyranny, the line you never drew and how it got crossed people. Cross the lines you never set. When you don't speak up, others assume you're fine. When you stay silent, people think you agree. When you let things slide, they slide again and again. A line is not about being harsh. It's about being clear. If you never say, this is not okay, then people will treat you however they want. Think about a coworker who dumped their work on you because you never said no. Or a friend who always showed up late because you never told them it bothered you. The truth is simple. You taught them that your time, your feelings, your needs were flexible. Today you see how far that line has been crossed. And now it's time to draw it. The price you pay when you lie down like a doormat. Being easygoing sounds nice. But when you lie down like a doormat, you pay the price. You lose your voice. You lose your importance. You lose your sense of self. People start to see you as someone who will always adjust, always bend, always take the hit. But being kind doesn't mean being used. Being patient doesn't mean being walked over. Many people discover this only after years of being drained. You try to be the bigger person, but you end up carrying the whole weight. You try to keep harmony, but you end up losing yourself. And the hardest part, people start to expect it. They treat your silence as approval. But the moment you stop, lying down, everything changes. You begin to rise up the discipline of teaching people how to treat you. Teaching people how to treat you is not a one-time action, it's a discipline. It's choosing to stand firm even when it's uncomfortable. It's learning to say no without guilt. It's keeping your boundary even when others push against it. You train people with your reactions. If you react with silence when someone wrongs you, they learn it's acceptable. If you react with clarity, they learn to respect you. Look at strong people in real life. They are not rude. They're clear. They know what they allow and what they don't. And that's what makes others treat them with value. You can learn that too. It starts with small steps, speaking up, saying what you mean, and not backing down from your own worth. The strength you gain when you raise your standards, everything in your life shifts. You stop chasing people who don't try. You stop accepting love that drains you. You stop letting fear decide your choices. You gain strength, not the loud kind, but the solid kind. The kind that comes from knowing who you are and what you will no longer allow. Think about someone who finally left a draining relationship and found peace they didn't know was possible. Or someone who stopped settling at work and finally moved into a place where they felt valued. Raising your standards is not about being picky. It's about protecting your life. It's about building a world where your soul can breathe. And once you taste that strength, you never go back to the power of saying nitrogen monoxide more, choice that changes everything there. Comes a moment in every person's life when they finally make the choice that changes everything. Not because the world shifts, but because you do. No more is not just a phrase. It's a turning point. It's the moment you decide you are done carrying what has been breaking you. You are done letting people drain your energy. You are done shrinking to make others feel big. It's like the moment someone walks out of a draining job, or a person finally leaves a one-sided relationship. They don't feel lighter because life got easier. They feel lighter because they stopped allowing what was hurting them. When you say no more, you close the door that has been leaking your strength. And the second you do, your entire life begins to shift in a new direction. The questions that push you to your breaking point before the change. There are questions that hit you one after another. How long will you carry someone else's chaos? How long will you lower your needs just to keep the calm? How long will you bend until you break? These questions push you into the corner you've been avoiding. They make you face the truth you've tried to hide. You can't ignore them anymore because the cost has become too high. Think about people in real life who stayed silent for years until one simple moment broke them open. A mother who kept giving until she had nothing left. A friend who tried to be everyone's support but had no one supporting them. These questions become mirrors. They force you to see the pain you've been avoiding. And once you see it, you can't pretend anymore. Your breaking point becomes your rebirth. The boundaries that protect your peace. Saying no more is not about pushing people away. It's about protecting what keeps you sane. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you control. A locked door isn't rude. It's responsible. You protect your peace the way you protect the last breath of air in your lungs. Because without peace, you can't think, you can't grow, you can't live. Boundaries sound like simple actions, but they change everything. Not picking up the phone when you're drained. Not letting someone guilt you into doing what you don't want to do. Not letting disrespect slide just to avoid tension. It's choosing yourself the same way you choose others. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries may get angry, but that anger is the proof that the boundary was needed. Peace is priceless. And the day you start protecting it, your life becomes yours again. The freedom you create when you finally say, no more freedom doesn't always come from running away. Sometimes it comes from standing still and saying, I'm done. When you finally say no more, something deep inside you opens. You feel lighter because the chains you carried were never yours to hold. You feel clearer because your mind is no longer tied to other people's demands. You feel stronger because you finally chose yourself. Real freedom is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of self-respect. I think about someone who walked away from a toxic friendship and finally slept peacefully, or someone who stopped letting their past define their days. That shift, that breath, that unclenching of the heart, that is freedom. And it begins the moment you stop accepting what drains your soul. Healing doesn't mean going back. It means moving it forward, I'll be the truth about what healing really takes. Healing is not soft. Healing is work. It's not about pretending everything is fine or going back to who you used to be. Healing means facing what hurt you, not running from it. It means letting go of the things you held on to for too long because you were scared to imagine life without them. It means accepting that some people will never apologize, never understand, never meet you where you needed them to. And even then, you still rise. Think about someone who rebuilt their life after heartbreak, not by going back, but by building forward. Healing takes courage. It takes honesty. It takes the strength to stop blaming yourself for what wasn't your fault. It's the hardest work you'll ever do, but it's also the work that sets you free. The inner renovation you can't avoid anymore when you finally reclaim your peace. The inside of you needs cleaning. It's like walking into a room that has been ignored for years. You have to throw out what no longer belongs. Emotional renovation is painful but necessary. You remove old beliefs like, I'm not enough. I need others to choose me. I must stay quiet to keep the calm. You clear out the voices that told you to settle. You rebuild your confidence from the inside out. It's the same way someone rebuilds after a storm. They patch the weak spots, fix the foundation, and decorate with new strength. This renovation isn't about who you used to be. It's about who you are becoming. And once the inside of you is cleaned and rebuilt, your life starts to shift in ways you didn't believe were possible. The questions that reveal what you've been carrying. Healing forces you to ask yourself questions that cut deep. What parts of you did you abandon to keep others comfortable? What pain have you been decorating instead of removing? What version of yourself did you kill just to be accepted? These questions hurt, but they free you because they make you look at the weight you've been carrying for years. Weight that was never yours. You start to see the patterns you repeated, the people you chased, and the places you stayed even when they broke you. When you face those questions head on, the truth becomes clear. You've been carrying too much for too long. And now you're ready to put it down. The new you that begins when you let the old you go. Healing doesn't bring back the old you. It creates a new one, a stronger one, a wiser one. A version of you who no longer begs for the bare minimum. A version who speaks up, stands tall, and protects their peace. Think about real people who rebuilt after losing everything. They didn't go back. They grew into something new. Letting go of the old you means releasing the patterns that kept you small. It means giving up the role of the fixer, the peacekeeper, the one who absorbs everyone's problems. The new you walks forward, not backward. The new you chooses purpose over pain. And once this new version of you steps in, the world feels different because you are different. Reclaiming the keys, your power, peace, and PRP is the moment you take back control of your life. There comes a moment when you look at your life and say, this is mine again. That moment is powerful. It's when you stop letting others speak for you. It's when you stop letting fear guide your decisions. It's when you stop breaking yourself to make others happy. Taking back control is not loud, it's steady. It's that moment when someone's disrespect no longer pulls you apart, when someone's opinions no longer determine your choices, when your past no longer decides your future. Think about someone who finally chose a path others doubted, but it changed their whole life. That kind of control comes from inside. And once you take it back, you never give it away again. The power you gain when you choose who gets access to your life is a house. Your peace is a room. Your heart is not a place for everyone to enter. You choose who gets access. You choose who stays. You choose who gets locked out. This is your power. When you stop giving open access to people who drain you, everything becomes clearer. You start letting in people who bring calm, support, honesty, and growth. You stop entertaining people who only show up when they need something. This kind of power isn't about being cold, it's about being wise. Look at strong leaders or healthy families. They don't let just anyone inside. They choose carefully. And so should you. Because the people you allow in will shape your life, the future you build. When you protect your value, your future changes. You no longer chase people who don't respect you. You no longer settle for situations that break your spirit. You build a future based on self-respect, steady choices, and clear direction. Think about someone who walked away from a draining environment and finally stepped into a life that fit them better job, better circle, better peace. Protecting your value means treating yourself like you matter. It means building days, habits, and relationships that support your purpose. A future built on your worth becomes a future filled with strength and direction. And it starts with one simple truth. You matter. The strength you step into when you rewrite your life. When you rewrite your life, you step into a new kind of strength. Not loud, not forced, but steady, grounded strength. You stop being scared of starting over. You stop living for others. You begin living for yourself. You realize you can build new habits, new relationships, new dreams, because your story is not finished. Think about people who rebuilt after failures, heartbreaks, or losses. They didn't rebuild the same life, they built a better one. That's the strength you step into. You begin to walk with clarity. You begin to walk with purpose. And every step forward becomes a message to the world. I decide the direction of my life now. Conclusion. This is your house and O.W. the journey that brought you back to yourself. Your journey has not been easy. It began with shock, the slap you never saw coming. It continued with the realization that you had been handing over your keys piece by piece. You saw how respect had to be trained, not hoped for. You learned the power of saying no more. You understood that healing was not about going back, but moving forward. And through all of this, you found your way back to yourself. Think about how far you've come. From silence to clarity. From shrinking to standing tall. From giving everything to choosing what deserves your energy. This journey brought you home to your own heart, to your own voice, to your own worth. And now you stand in a place where you can finally breathe. The truth your keys belong to. You and no one else. Your keys, your power, your peace, your choices belong to you. No one has the right to demand them. No one has the right to take them. You decide who enters your life. You decide who stays. You decide who gets locked out. This truth changes everything. Because once you accept that your life is yours to guide, the world stops feeling so heavy. You no longer wait for approval. You no longer live for someone else's comfort. You no longer carry weight that was never yours. The keys are in your hands now, and this time you are not giving them away. You're guarding them. You're choosing with intention. You're protecting your space with strength and clarity. The final push to stand tall and own your life. This is your moment. Your call to rise. Your reminder that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself. Stand tall. Honor your worth. Protect your peace. Walk strong. Life will still bring storms, but now you have the keys to your own shelter. You have the strength to close the doors that drain you and open the ones that help you grow. You have the power to choose people who bring calm, not chaos. And you have the right to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just on the outside. So step into your strength, step into your truth, step into your future. The door of your life opens from the inside, and only you decide who gets the keys.